Hey guys, it's Shio and welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a really fun video. I'm going to be talking about my 2025 ins and outs. I'm actually so happy that I got back to making YouTube videos because now I can do this trend because every time I come across a video on YouTube listening to someone else talk about their ins and outs for the new year, I get so inspired and motivated, and I love hearing about what people have planned for their new year and the lessons that they have learned in the past year. So I'm so excited to share mine with you. Go grab yourself a drink, get really cozy, and let's get right into the video. Oh, but before we get started, if you are interested in beauty, lifestyle, or the feminine mindset, make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss out on my other videos. Okay, so we are going to get into the first in for 2025. And this is number one because it's actually what I would consider the most important in that I want to do for the new year, and that is having a theme. So this was something that I discovered nearing the end of 2024 when I looked back on the year, and when I was doing a reflection to do this video, I realized that having a theme for the year really worked. So a little story time. My company, we always do a vision casting retreat or a vision casting weekend at the end of every year. And so at the end of 2023, before we went to talk about business and all that stuff, we actually have a little segment where each of us share like our personal goals or our personal, vision for the coming year. And we are given a list of words, and out of those words, you get to choose or highlight a few. It can be one, it can be three, it can be five. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. But you get to pick words that you want to bring in as like the theme for the next year. So I remember in 2023 when I was doing this vision casting, that my word for 2024 was luxury. And that came from the fact that I grew up in a really poor family. It was just me and my mom. And if I'm being honest, I think we were either in poverty or borderline poverty. Like, it was not good. And so in 2024, I really wanted to allow myself to experience the feeling of luxury. And I didn't necessarily know what I was going to do or how I was going to do it. I just know that when I look back at the end of 2024, I wanted to be like, yeah, my 2024 was luxurious. And I am very, very proud to admit and say that that word really did come true, and it came true in ways that I couldn't even possibly imagine. I would not have even imagined that they're gonna play out like that. For example, I got a Tesla, I bought a house, went on like 4 or 5 vacations. It was crazy but luxurious in the most fun-filled way, and I'm so grateful for that. And I also do believe that it happens because my theme for the year going into 2024 was luxury, and so I subconsciously did a lot of things that will allow me to experience that theme. So going into 2025, my word for 2025 is going to be freedom. So the best way I can describe it is like if you walked into a store and you can get anything that you wanted because you didn't have to care about how much anything is. That kind of freedom is what I want to bring into 2025, and I want to have more of. So it doesn't even have to be like freedom in being able to spend the money. It can be freedom in time. Like I could take the vacations or take the days off whenever I want to, spend time with my family whenever I want to. And so that is my theme for 2025, and we are going to work towards achieving that so that by the end of the year I can look back and go, yeah, 2025 was definitely a year of freedom. And on that note, I just wanted to also add in like how powerful vision boards are. So this was the vision board that I made at the end of 2023 with my company. And honestly, a lot of these photos were just pictures that I found in a magazine. Some of them I did curate myself, or like I did have it printed out by myself. What's interesting was that I forgot about this vision board because we were in the process of moving, and I believe this was in a garage in my old house for the longest time. And it's crazy because when I look back on some of these things that I've pasted, I really did achieve them without even thinking about it. For example, this year I bought a lot of Chanel. Like before, when I was making this vision board, I probably only had one Chanel item, which was like a perfume, and my collection has grown significantly since then. Another thing that really blew my mind was the number 888. And honestly, I put this here because 8 is usually, like in Asian culture, is the number of abundance and prosperity. And also in numerology, it's about like infinite. So it can also represent abundance as well. So that's why I have it there. But what's crazy was that my husband and I got married on 888, like the 8th of August 2024, which adds up to 8. And yeah, I was not expecting that when I put this number on there. So, all in that to say, it is so important to have a vision. And my husband and I were just talking about it recently. And an example I gave him was, imagine you bought a house. It's empty, right? It has like the appliances and all that stuff, but it doesn't have any furnitures. And you just go into the house and you start living in it without having a vision or a plan of where things are gonna go. Like, would you be able to live in the house? Yeah, but would that be the most luxurious or calming, stress free environment? Probably not. It's probably going to be really messy, really cluttered, and not everything is going to have its place. And so, if you compare that to a house that has everything organized, you know where things are going to go, compare that to the house that has no vision or no aim. Like, which one would you prefer? Which one is significantly better? And that is why I feel that it is so important to have a vision of how your year is going to go, or to have that theme of how you want your year to go, because that creates a trajectory of how everything else in your life is going to align. Now, going into my first out, this is also quite a big one for me, and that is the fear of achievement. And I know it sounds a little ridiculous, but if you actually think about it, I'm very sure that a lot of people go through this, and that is the imposter syndrome that comes about when you're achieving something. And it could be something small, it could be something big, but I realized that I have this fear around like when I achieve something, because I guess it takes you from who you were into this new person that you're being, but it's now no longer just in your mind or in your manifestation or your imagination. Now you have physical, tangible proof that you are a different person. You have leveled up. You are in a slightly different league than you were before. So that fear starts to sink in and set in, and you have this fear of like, oh no, what if I'm not that person? And an example that I can give is when I first got my Tesla. Oh my gosh, before I got my first ever car payment, I was so scared and nervous. Like, I was like, am I really gonna do this? Like, is this really happening? Am I really gonna be able to afford and pay for this car? Mathematically, I could. I knew I could. But even though the numbers were making sense to me, emotionally, I didn't feel like I could. I feel like I might have missed something. There might have been like a bill somewhere that I forgot to include, or maybe I'm like miscalculating a lot of things, and that when it comes to the first payment, I actually wouldn't be able to afford it. And I had that feeling the whole time leading up to my first payment. And I honestly even had that feeling to my second payment, to the point where I realized I was starting to sabotage myself. That was when I realized that my fear was starting to sabotage my abilities. Because if I wasn't so afraid, everything was actually smooth sailing. Like, there was no hiccups, no problem. I was just making an issue out of nothing just because I was so afraid of having achieved that, because I was afraid that I was an imposter and that I wasn't someone who was able to achieve this milestone that I have for myself. And I'm really grateful that I did realize it, because it really stopped me in my track in like trying to sabotage myself. And now, like, the car payment is whatever. It's a very comfortable thing for me. And I also realized that this didn't just apply to my car. I had this fear, this anxiety almost, when it comes to achieving anything that I set my mind to. And so, knowing that, I now can work, I guess, against that fear, because I now expect or I know that that fear is going to come about, and I know how to deal with it because I know that that fear doesn't come from any place of truth, and it is all just a construct made up in my mind, and I can very easily get over that. All right, and now to my habit number 2 that I'm going to keep for 2025, and that is practicing gratitude. So this is something that I have been practicing, I would say, since I was little. My mom always taught me about gratitude in like her own way. It wasn't really the same as what we do nowadays, but I kind of knew the concept of it, but it has never been a habit that I practice daily. Especially because I feel like when I forced myself to practice gratitude every single day, it felt not genuine. It felt like I was having to like dig deep for things that I'm grateful for. Until I was on my vacation a few days ago and I woke up to the most beautiful sunrise. Like, it was the most beautiful color. The sun was just coming up from above the ocean, and from the window that was in my bedroom, I could see the whole ocean. It was like the beach was empty, the waves were calm. It was so picturesque that the first thing that I naturally started doing was saying things that I was grateful for, starting with the sunrise. My body was just filled with such gratitude, and I realized how wonderful it could feel when you truly, truly practice gratitude. And so I decided that I wanted to do my gratitude practice every day again. So I did get this notebook last year and I gifted it to my friends as well. But gratitude was something that I also wanted to do back in 2024 as well, and I kind of fell out of it like after a few months. But it basically has like little prompts that you fill in the morning and at night, and you can get this book off of Amazon. But it's really nice because it really helps you think about things that you are grateful for, and not just the thought of it, but when you think about the certain aspects in your life that you're really grateful for, to really feel the emotions and live in the feeling of it. And so for 2025, I'm going to give myself less excuses. Like, it is okay to feel forced sometimes, but I really do want to get into the habit of practicing gratitude more often and really feeling and bathing in the feeling of it. And now for my second out for 2025, it's going to be my limiting belief, especially around time. I did realize in having this conversation with my husband that my true limiting belief, my true nemesis, is actually the belief around time. So, like, yeah, when it comes to money, I believe that you can get any amount you want. You can always make more money, like money is unlimited, whatever, right? But when it comes to time, all of a sudden that script changes. And in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, you only have 24 hours a day. You have very limited time. Time is a scarce commodity. And I realized that while those things that I said might be true, it is also only true because I allow it to be true, if that makes sense. It's like if I tell myself that I have plenty of time and that I don't have to rush through things and that I can enjoy and really cherish the time that I do spend with the people that matters to me, it's not going to take away anything. I think, I mean, there's like, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, right? If you feel like you have plenty of time, you sometimes could fall into this trap of not doing anything and really just taking your own sweet time, being leisurely and just not having the drive. But then there's also on the flip side, you could just be just on the go all the time, that you're not really appreciating and cherishing the moments for what they are because you're just constantly always living in the future. So being in the present and practicing to be in the present is going to help me with my limiting beliefs around time, because I can enjoy and cherish a moment. And what's 5 minutes in the grand scheme of things? You know, like what's 5 minutes snuggling my cats in the grand scheme of my lifespan or their lifespan? but that moment could mean so much to the people that you spend the moments with. So limiting release around time is out the door in 2025. I'm definitely going to cherish more moments, take things more slowly, and also know when to really put the pedal to the metal. And now my third in for 2025 is going to be understanding how to nourish my body and taking care of my physical body. This is my second pregnancy right now, and I have gestational diabetes again, but I realized that because my knowledge of my body, of holistic health, of really just nurturing and understanding the inner microbiome and like the inner workings of my body, since I have better knowledge of it, my handle on gestational diabetes and this pregnancy has been so different from my previous one. Like in my previous pregnancy, I was so unhealthy. I was like gaining so much weight, and the whole pregnancy felt terrible. I did not have a good time with my first pregnancy. But with my second pregnancy, since the first trimester, I really have not had one single pregnancy symptom. Like it just everything feels good. My legs are not swollen. I'm not nauseous. I've never been nauseous this pregnancy, apart from maybe like one day or something. Like my body doesn't really have aches and pains, and I realized how important it was to really nourish and keep your body healthy. A few things I also realized is that when I have too much sugar, when I have too much dairy, that's when my skin starts to break out and my body starts to feel really unhealthy. And so understanding my body more and really knowing what is healthy for me and what is good for me is going to be something that I'm going to keep doing in 2025, because like there's always so much more to learn. I'm only at the tip of the iceberg, and I'm so excited to really learn more and understand more about how I could biohack my body so that I am physically and mentally the best me, and that way I can be the best me for the people around me in my life as well. On that same note, I am also going to be including more sunscreen into my day-to-day routine. I have a very weird relationship with sunscreen. Like I haven't really found the true science to whether it's really good or it's just a fad. But I am now going to go with this mindset that sunscreen is actually really important especially in helping you keep your skin looking younger, and I guess the anti-aging benefits of sunscreen. So I'm definitely going to go down my sunscreen research journey so that I can be well informed and smarter about taking care of my skin from the UV rays. My third out of 2025 is going to be not understanding my stress responses. This is so important because stress and cortisol is so bad for you. Like you know that is bad for you. You hear it everywhere. Cortisol just causes cancer, it makes you gain weight, it just throws your body off entirely. But most importantly, I didn't know how my body or how I react to when I'm stressed, because I feel like for majority of my life I've lived a very stressed out life. Oh my gosh, like I would grind my teeth so much that it becomes such a natural occurrence, but I didn't realize I was doing that because I was stressed out. Like there were so many things that I was doing because I was so stressed, but also because I've been living in that stress mode for so long, it became so natural to me that I didn't even realize it. And it got to the point where like I almost ended my relationship with my husband because I was just so stressed out, and I didn't know I was stressed out. I was blaming it on every single other thing and not realizing that it was all stemming from my lack of ability to handle my stresses. This is definitely like a journey that I am on right now. I wouldn't say I'm very good at handling stresses. However, I do know my triggers a little more now. If I'm like just constantly craving sweet things all the time and nothing is really like satiating it, or all of a sudden I just want to pick a fight with my husband for every single little thing, that is when I take a step back and try to figure out if I'm stressed out in any aspect of my life. And if I am, what I could do to de-stress. You know, like Am I going to take a bath? Am I going to take a nice walk? Am I going to watch a video and just allow myself to de-stress? And also realizing what actually stresses me out. Now to my fourth in for 2025, it is going to be spending dedicated time with family, loved ones, things that I care about. So this is something that I started practicing in like middle of 2024 because I realized again, because I was stretching myself so thin, that I wasn't really present when it comes to being with my son or my husband or my cats. Every time I think about it, my mind goes into this like rabbit hole because I'm like, well, I mean, I want to have a non-limited mindset about time, but again, you don't know how much time anybody has. And so I feel like I need to be responsible in really spending dedicated time so that I'm not regretting it in the future, wishing I had more time to spend with them. And so something simple that I'm always doing is if I have a few minutes and I don't need to do anything, there's nothing on my to-do list, there's nothing that's urgent, I make sure that I'm disconnected from everything that could distract me and I'm just present with the people that are in front of me. And so if it's with my cats, I make sure I'm not looking at my phone. Like I make sure I'm truly fully present with them when I'm snuggling them. Same with my son. You know, he could be playing and distracted. I make sure that I have my phone away for most of the time during the night. And this is something that I think I've gotten a lot better at. The fact that I can put my phone out of reach for most of the night and I only grab it when I start to wind down in bed. So that way I know that for at least 2 to 3 hours in the evening after I'm done with work, I'm actually really present and with my son and with my husband. And the amazing thing is he's also doing this as well. Like he's on his phone a little more than I am, but as a whole, like he does put it away more now and he's more present with the family as well. So I just feel like this is such a wonderful practice that we started doing in 2024 and that I want to keep doing in 2025. All right, now to my fourth out of 2025 is going to be complaining or bitching. And I do this a lot. I feel like this is one of the ways that I like de-stress, but it's not a healthy way. I like to complain about a lot of things, especially things that triggers me, and I don't really hold back. Like I don't hold anything inside of me. I let everything out. That way I'm not holding that stress in. And sometimes it doesn't just take one time of me saying it to get it all out. It maybe takes that repetition. I might say the same thing over and over again to like 3 to 4 people, or I'll say it 3 to 4 times to get that stress out of me. But I realize that every time I complain or say something in a negative way, it doesn't make me feel good. Once the words leave my mouth, it just feels terrible. Though it is a way for me to manage stress, I feel that I need to find a better solution to manage the emotion that I get from these negative experiences instead of just saying it out loud. Because I'm very sure there's more than one solution to any problem, and I need to find a different solution to this problem and not complain. So right now, I still haven't truly figured out what the solution is. I just know that one solution that I'm not doing is going to be complaining about it, bitching and whining about it, because that's not something I want to bring into 2025. So 2025 is going to be a year for me to discover a healthier solution for this issue. And now for my fifth in for 2025, it's going to be having low spend months every quarter. So I did start practicing this a little bit in 2024, but like I wasn't very good at it and there wasn't like a structure to it. And I discovered that I stick to something a little bit better when I am structured. So I have decided that every quarter, that's going to be a month where it's going to be a low spend month for me. And what I mean by that is, other than necessities, other than things like paying the bills, paying for groceries, I'm not going to be spending on other things, right? So I'm not going to be shopping. I'm not going to be ordering DoorDash. I'm going to make sure that I have food just like ready and stocked up in my fridge so that I can grab one in the morning, and planning my days around like what I could make and things that I could bring to work to eat. things like that to help cut down on my spending. I don't think a no spend is realistic for me simply because going into 2025, I'm gonna have a new baby. There'll be things that I would need to buy that I didn't know that I have to buy. And so I'm not gonna completely cut out spending, but I'm gonna cut out the spending where it's not necessary. And I wanna try to do that at least 4 times in a year, which is why I'm gonna do one every quarter. That way I can also like switch it up by having like all spend week where I just allow myself to buy whatever I would like to for a whole week. And so we'll see how that plays out, but I kind of have like a rough idea of how I want to manage that in 2025. Now to my last out of 2025 is going to be caring about being liked by everyone. So for the longest time, I feel like I've always kind of been a people pleaser, and I think that applies to everybody. Like, well, I wouldn't say everybody, but most people generally likes to be liked by people. Whenever there's a conflict, it makes me really uncomfortable and I would like go apologize even though I might not feel like I'm in the wrong. This year, there were a few instances where I guess conflict happened with me and the people around me, and where I would have typically gone and apologized, I just didn't. Basically, I'm going to put my needs, my beliefs, and my happiness before everybody else's. I'm not saying like I'm gonna put it above like every single one of them, but I'm also not gonna put it last. You know, it's gonna be somewhere in the middle where like, yeah, if my son needs something, his happiness does trump mine a lot of the time because it does make me happy to make him happy. But when it comes to like a friend, I don't give a shit. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop wanting to be liked by everyone. It's okay if some people don't like me. I don't like some people, so why can't they dislike me either? You know, it's entirely fine. I will still live to see another day. It's not the end of the world. And if I'm not really out there to hurt them, if I'm not coming from a place of malice, then I should just do me. And they can do them. They can dislike me all they want. It doesn't affect their life, nor should I let it affect mine. And so that is kind of like the mindset that I'm going to bring into 2025. And yeah, what a note to end off this video on. I mean, I guess you guys can like this video and also dislike this video, because as long as you're happy and I'm happy, we can all do our lives differently. That's a weird outro. But yes, those were all my ins and outs of 2025. I hope it gave you guys some ideas on how you want your 2025 to be structured like as well. And I would love to know some of your ins and outs and what your thoughts are on some of the things that I have mentioned. I love hearing your insights. I love hearing about what other people think and learning new perspectives. So leave a comment down below sharing with me. I would love to read it, and make sure you subscribe to my channel again so that you don't miss out on my future videos, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!